Did you know the human eye can discern more detail in green than any other color? In the 1990s, green was the most popular color choice for new cars. And I don't just mean out of colors, I mean out of everything. White, gray, silver, you name it. So why does it only account for 2% of new cars sold today? Green is way more important to car culture than you might think, and its rise and fall in popularity over the years says a lot more about us than it does about the color itself. It's a mood, a sign of the times, it's tied to who we are. And today, we're going to talk about why.
The history of green cars is as old as the car itself. In fact, the first car ever was finished in green paint. Even Henry Ford, a guy famous for saying you can have any color you want as long as it's black, offered green as a choice on some of the first Fords. But despite these colorful beginnings, things quickly took a dark turn. In the early days of American racing, green wasn't just unpopular, it was feared. This was mostly thanks to two major crashes involving green cars. The first came in 1910 at the Syracuse Fair, where driver Lee Oldfield ran off the course and killed several spectators. The others involved Gaston Chevrolet, who suffered a fatal crash in 1920 at the Beverly Hills Raceway. These high-profile horror stories led to decades-long fear of green cars. Former Truck Driver Series Rick Crawford once said, "My granddaddy didn't even like people wearing green to the racetrack. Some drivers would actually turn around and go back home if a crew member showed up wearing it. I don't see what all the fuss is about. It's just a paint color, right?" Well, not exactly. Colors are more than wavelengths of light. They're ideas. We don't just see them, we feel them. And green in particular carries a strange duality. It's the color of growth and life, but also of sickness and decay. So maybe the feeling around green cars in American racing wasn't about bad luck at all. Maybe the way we see green is directly connected to the experiences we've had with it. So it's no surprise that just across the Atlantic, in good old little Britain, feelings about green couldn't be more different. In the UK, green wasn't cursed, it was sacred, and it's so much more than a color. It's an identity. It's British racing green, after all. I know it sounds so noble, like a Spitfire coming down from out of the clouds, or beans on toast. But the truth is that its origins were more chance than creation. When racing was first being organized in Europe, cars were typically painted colors from their country's flag. France was blue, Italy was red, Germany was white for some weird reason, and Britain, well, their colors were already taken. So when it came time to race in the 1902 Gordon Bennett Cup, British driver Selwyn Edge painted his 6.4-liter four-cylinder Napier green. Not for luck, not for beauty, just because that's what was left. But then Selwyn, he won. And not only did he win, but his car also became the first English car to ever win an international race. Suddenly, this leftover color became a legend.
Man, this trail is tough. And if I don't get to the top of it, the guys are gonna laugh at me.
Fella, why don't you get a grip and use me?
It's Robert the Fun Time Dino-Pro AT2 Extreme, yeah.
Hi kids, why are you so down?
Hi Robert, the Funtime Dynapro AT2 Extreme. We want to go off-road, but we don't want to sacrifice on-road comfort.
Well, get a grip and use me.
Wow, Robert, thanks.
Dynapro AT2 Extremes are Hankook's all-terrain tire. We're great on sand, rock, and snow. The specially designed scoops along my shoulders give you stability off-road, and my deep sidewalls protect against cuts and punctures.
Can my tires even make this trip?
Hey Zach, get a grip and use me. Dynapro AT2 Extremes are backed by an up to 70,000 mile treadwear warranty, so you know you can rely on us.
I'm sorry, is this like a pre-established character or something? That's Robert, the Funtime Dynapro AT2 Extreme. He rocks.
If you want a tire that can go the distance, use Hankook Dynapro AT2 Extremes. Click the link below to learn more.
From that moment on, British racing green wasn't just paint, it was pride. Fun fact though about BRG, there's no standardized shade for it. Edge's car was actually more of a John Deere green than the dark green BRG is known for. And by the 1950s and 60s, British automakers like Aston Martin, Jaguar, and Mini began to offer their takes on the color as an option for most of their models. Like this Jaguar that was actually owned by Steve McQueen, for example. This is the moment that green colored cars began to become more than just a color, and more of a representation of where culture stands.
Green's reputation shift from Death Wish to Delightful in America came in the aftermath of good old WW2. The economy was strong, confidence was high, and people wanted their cars to look as happy as they felt. With the 50s came a pastel explosion. Legendary cars like the Thunderbird, the Chevy Bel Air, and the Cadillac Eldorado had a plethora of pastel green options. And people, they were buying them. Color meant freedom. Freedom to choose, to express, to match your refrigerator. Green was no longer synonymous with being unlucky or being at war. It was fresh. It was the color of modernity, the national mood, and the colors, dude, they were a vibe. And this carried into the psychedelic and rebellious 1960s. Did you know that from 1967 to 1969, Chevrolet offered 10 different shades of green for the Camaro alone? 10! That's how many fingers I have! And it wasn't just GM going hard on the greens. Possibly the most famous car of the decade was Steve McQueen's green 1968 Mustang GT from the Hollywood smash hit Bullitt. Brum, 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 brum. Get out of my way! I'm in a $3 million car! I'm Steve McQueen! Green had become a symbol of individuality, cool, defiant, fast, being totally radical, man. In the 70s, colors got a lot more muted, like that sick green you see on all the Forest Service vehicles. Personally, one of my top 5 favorite greens of all time. We were getting more environmentally conscious. Pollution was horrible. Lines for gas lasted hours. These new shades didn't demand attention. They reflected a newfound humility. It was another sign of the times. But we still had variety in the form of the Rebel Green Machine and the Plymouth Cuda. And then the 80s happened. The 80s didn't care about nature. It cared about portfolios and skyscrapers. Success wasn't earthy or organic. It was polished, black, white, silver, and chrome. And if you did want color, it wasn't green, it was red. Think the Ferrari F40 or Porsche 911. Even American Muscle was slanging red rockets like the Camaro IROC Z in insane numbers. Green might have been the color of money, but it didn't look rich. It didn't look fast, and it certainly didn't look powerful. So as the decade roared on, green cars vanished from the roads, quietly, almost unnoticed. But I mean, how could they? Our eyes are literally built to notice green cars, remember? But that's why its disappearance was so strange, and why its return would feel so inevitable.
Do you guys remember that fact I dropped at the top of the video, that green cars were sold more than any other color in the 1990s? Well, it's true, and even crazier than it sounds. With the birth of the 90s came time for bold change, and a focus on unique individualism. The world was getting smaller by the minute. Cable TV gave us the choice. The internet gave us expression, and Gen X said, I want something that looks different. By 1995, green was the most popular car color in America. 1 in 5 cars. That's about 32 million green cars in the US alone. And it wasn't just cars. Green was everywhere, from Seinfeld to your living room, to the tiles in your mom's kitchen. It was the color of the decade. The Ford Explorer wore shades like Aspen Green Pearl, making them suburban status symbols. The GMC Cyclone, Corvette ZR1, and Jeep Cherokee, it's proof that green wasn't tied to any one type of driver. It was just cool. The green wave wasn't just hitting the States either. Europe and Japan were deep in a green renaissance of their own. Porsche revived shades like Signal Green, Murano Green, and Aventurine Metallic. These colors stood out just as much as the cars themselves. Meanwhile though, over in Japan, they were having an automotive golden age. I mean, look no further than my own 1990 Nissan Silvia finished in a 2-tone seafoam green, or the second-gen Mitsubishi 3000 GT in Panama Green Pearl, or even the highly coveted Mark IV Supra in Jewel Green Pearl. Green was back. There was so much green though, they actually ran out of it. Remember Mistachrome, that paint that's green only some of the time? It was cool as hell and a sign of things to come, because green was still there, but it was fading fast.
Now, green cars didn't just vanish overnight, but something weird started happening in the early 2000s. Color started disappearing. Now, sure, there were some remnants of the 90s boom still in play, and Nissan dropped the iconic R34 in Millennium Jade. I mean, look at that, sick. But by 2004, the range of colors, especially green, had been cut nearly in half. Why? Well, around that same time, the global economy started to wobble.
a slow decline that would eventually crash headfirst into the 2008 financial collapse. But what does that have to do with green, or even color? Well, if we look back at history of green, I'd argue that it isn't just an aesthetic choice, but an emotional one. When times are good, people go bold. When times are tough, they stay safe. And safe, as it turns out, is gray or silver or whatever is the cheapest option. This sentiment goes for both the consumer and the manufacturer. Brighter paint jobs, especially metallics, can add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to a car's sticker price. In an era of tightening budgets, just give me the tan silver gray option. I gotta get these kids off to soccer practice. Was the reality that led to a self-fulfilling cycle. The fewer colorful options you offer, the fewer cars with color you have to make. And the fewer you make, the more expensive the ones you do make become. The more expensive the car, the fewer you sell, and on and on and on. It's this whole cycle. By 2023, grayscale colors made up 80% of all new cars sold. But here's the twist. While things seem bad for color in general, green seems to be trending up. Since 2020, green car sales have actually been rising. Sure, it's still only about 2% of the market, but it's one of the only non-grayscale colors trending upward. Maybe it's because we're craving individuality again. Or maybe people are just getting tired of living in a grayscale world. Because cars used to say something about you. They're extensions of your personality and not just transportation. And if green really is the color the human eye sees in the most detail, then maybe what we're really missing is a lot more than just color. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great day. And as an act of solidarity, here are my top 10 favorite green cars of all time.
Atlanta, Georgia, we will be in your town shooting the finale of The Big Trip at Caffeine and Octane. You can get general admission tickets, watch us film the finale there, or you can bring your car and run the track. If you missed the finale of High Low in Tucson last year, we're going to be doing it kind of the same way. Come on out. We'll see you there. November 22nd.
Onward, Zach! Onward to Atlanta!